outcome, who you do feel good about. And really, the narrative is that it's hard to get those guys enough touches. How do we find a way? I think naturally as the season progresses, those things have a way of working themselves out. But Skip's done a good job with him, as have the offensive coaches, just kind of bringing him along. We're very confident that he's got a very bright future with us, Vinny. And those are things that we always talk about, we look at, and it's, one of those deals where you kind of are always trying to find that best solution. But I do believe at some point he's going to make an impact on this team this year. Yeah, so, I didn't really truly dive into the evaluation part of it just because I was in Washington. We had a pretty stable quarterback situation. But I just remember, with them being, such a good competitive team, seeing them nationally televised games, elite competitor, I always respected the fact that if something didn't work out, I remember watching, it was actually when Matt LaFleur was coaching at Notre Dame, watching when Notre Dame and Florida State had a great back-and-forth game, and watching the way that he responded from a couple turnovers says as much as anything. And he can make all the throws. You can see guys believe in him. His teammates, kind of rally around him. And he's a guy similar to Mayfield in terms of you can create off schedule. He can make some really impressive plays, and he's got the talent around him to be able to do that as well. Nothing different this week. Obviously next week will be a modified schedule where we'll immediately start that recovery process right after the game. But because the Thursday night games, occurred so early in our seasons over the last couple of years, week 3 2 years ago, and then week 4 last year, kept a similar kind of approach. And really next week you don't practice at all. You just kind of walk through, and it's a mental. But the physical reps, we're able to get all the same kind of normal rhythm and routine that we've had up to this point. Yeah.
For you as an offensive-minded coach, when it's out of your hands, is that difficult for you watching that unfold without really being able to control part of it?
No, not at all, because you still are on the headset. We're talking through what call and different things like that. So I think the beauty of what's been great about getting a chance to have a couple years is you're able to spend a lot of time with the defense as well, and kind of while being able to learn football, be able to talk to our defensive guys, work in unison with our defensive coaches. And I think that's kind of part of your job in my role. And so I think with the way that the game had played out, the confidence that we had in that sequence, especially with what we were able to do on first down, force the ball to come out, and then over the next 3 calls, it was fun. I don't necessarily say, the players ultimately make those plays, but I've really enjoyed being able to kind of spend some more time with our defensive coaches and players, and then seeing the success they've had through the first 3 weeks and the way that they've played and some of the improvements we've made has been encouraging. Yeah, really, very similar in terms of, the same threat that Mike Thomas and that, Odell posed, is that these guys are big plays waiting to happen. And he's such a big receiver, does a great job tracking it down the field. Jameis does a nice job of recognizing the looks when, they're high percentage plays, and he's kind of one-on-one. But you see the production, he's an elite company when you look at just a guy that over the first 5 seasons where he's had over 1,000 yards, I want to say that Randy Moss and A.J. Green are the only other guys to be able to do what Mike Evans has done in the first 5 years of his career in terms of the production. So he's a great player. He's somebody we've got to be aware of, and it's a great challenge. It's being sound in your coverage principles. It's being able to hit home whether you bring 4 or 5 guys as part of the rush. And I think we've consistently done an excellent job with the communication. All 11 on the same page. You see the sense of urgency, how intentional our defensive guys go about the way they walk through, the way they practice. And you're seeing those practice performances translate into game reality. And, they're in a good place. And we talk about it all the time. They've had a really good start to this season. And let's see if we can continue to stay on this upward trajectory as we go into week 4 against the Bucs. Yeah, no, he's got great command, Vinny. And what I think's nice about some of the variety that we have on the back end is they really have tools that they can activate within the framework of whatever coverage concept that we're running. And so Eric always has a reason why he's doing it. As long as everybody's on the same page, it's sound. I think it's important to be able to give our players ownership, and he doesn't at all take advantage of it. He's so smart, and the thing that's so impressive really about our players on defense, and then Eric especially, because so much of that communication comes from him. It's one thing for a coach and for me to hold the clicker and be able to say it. It's another thing when you're processing it, live action, real adjustments, when that play clock's ticking down and making sure that all 11 or whoever you're making that call with, you guys are on the same page, and he's done a great job of that, and I think that's one of the things that makes him so special and unique. All right, thanks, guys.